All right, so Shannon Filing and I met probably, gosh, it's
Couple
been,
years,
yeah, it's
maybe?
been about maybe 4 years
Maybe,
ago.
yeah.
You Shannon and then you shenanigans.
That's right. All the shenanigans will be on
I
the
always enjoy meeting a Shannon because there were just a bunch of us in like one couple years, you know, and we all have we're all Gen Xers. It feels like everyone's named up Shannon,
but I think we all grew up with no Shannon. So the fact that we all migrated.
That's great. And social media is helping us do that because I've noticed that it's I must like Shannon because they pop up on my For You page. But so Shannon is a how many years entrepreneur? 20 plus?
Yeah, about 23 going on 24.
And you started in banking, is that right?
I did. I had 10 years in banking, so whoop whoop to banking. I loved banking. I loved it, and I learned so much there. What I learned about it was not necessarily the banking vehicles, but the people. I loved team, I loved my customers, I loved processes, I loved all of those things, and was a young manager, was their youngest manager, so that is part of my journey we could maybe delve into, but a lot of life lessons, and it set me up for success for sure.
And did you see businesses looking to get financing and stuff like that? Did it give you a window into what people were looking for from there?
I laugh at that because at the time, the branches that I worked at, no. we weren't mecca for business in that regard. We had a lot of service to businesses, but not business startups typically. But we engaged with them once they started banking. But what makes up a business? People. So you learn about people. So being able to reflect and just be mindful of those lessons allow you to apply it going forward. And I think that's part of what we need to do early on, and 23 years in is just take moments to think about how can I take this lesson? How can I grow from this opportunity? And the opportunities will be just littered at your feet. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us, how did you get started then as an entrepreneur? Because that's what we're here for, doing business for real.
Yeah.
And having the entrepreneurial mindset is a big part of Focus Suite. So tell us how you got there.
I will tell you it was by accident, to be quite honest. When you hear people go, how do you accidentally get into business? It's a real thing. So I would love to say that I had this vision and I saw a gap in the market and I fulfilled it. That's not what my journey has been like. So I had 2 babies close together. Banking was just in flux. Banks were buying and selling and buying and selling. So I stepped out, and I was lucky to have the ability to do that and regroup. So I went to work for my husband behind the scenes, and everything a salesperson doesn't like to do, details and paperwork and all of those things, I did for him. So I learned marketing in the media sense, went to training and did all of that. And then I'm like, hey, I kind of like this. I had a first and a fourth quarter client, and I'm like, if I could just put one in third and second, we will be ruling the world. That'd be great. And just kind of found that it just really resonated with me. So we started with traditional media placement, and I had clients of Travis's going, I love what you do in the Lincoln market, but I have a 6-state region. And my husband's like, I know someone that can help you. And at that moment, I'm like, is he talking about me? Oh my gosh, like that was scary at that moment. But he's always if we want to go back to old movies, a wind beneath my wings, you can do it. And he pushes you into areas that I probably wouldn't have volunteered at the time. So I thank him for that, honestly. So that's kind of how it materialized. I'm like, okay, well, we did media placement, but they need now websites. And then what else do they need? They need help in content. And that's kind of how it organically grew. And I just fell in love with business and hearing their side of business and all the mechanics of it and the impact of it. And so I too became a serial entrepreneur because of that.
Do you remember how long it took you to get those other 2 quarters filled with clients?
Ooh, gosh, timeline. I don't know. What's funny is we started in ag. I had a seed corn company, and I had a crop insurance company, which is hilarious because I don't come from an ag family. I live in the middle of ag country. I didn't come from ag. So we're like, well, we'll just learn everything at once. So that was kind of interesting. Is I learned really early on is you can do hard things. You can learn anything you set your mind to. And quite honestly, if you lean into your strengths, figuring out problems, or for me, it was taking marketing expertise. And I wouldn't say I was an expert, but I was more of an expert than the people asking me, right? So plugged in that way, we could apply it in a lot of ways. So even today, I'd be like, well, what have you done in the cybersecurity industry? Okay, well, all I know is I can get your message to the right audience using my mechanisms. So leaning into that. So that's kind of what I learned with that. And so timeline on adding clients, I'm not too certain. But I would say it was, I started 2002-3, and I grew enough that I asked my husband, I'm like, in 2007, I said, I want to hire someone, and I can't imagine hiring anyone but you. And he's like, I don't know. I don't know about that. Working with my wife, everyone that we talk to goes, that would be just horrible. We did not find it horrible. We found that if we defined our roles and respected what we brought to the table, it worked quite well. So in 2007, he joined the company. So anywhere between 2003 and 2007, we could sustain our family income by it. So
excellent. So that's transformation marketing, correct?
Correct.
And then now we have action coach, correct? That we're
so
sort of incorporating all.
So what has happened is with 20 some years in business, I've learned a lot, and I've learned where to find those insights. So I thought, okay, well, what can I do? We have some coaches in our group today, which is so great. What I would say about that is I did become certified in coaching for leadership in business at the time, and I've just incorporated that into my marketing agency and training. What I have seen is businesses going, I have all this marketing, but I don't have leaders that can step into that role yet, or they're new leaders, or they're new hires, and how do we support all of these things that marketing will roll in? Oh, okay, that's a need. So I hear that, and I'm like, how can I help with that? So definitely under my own brand, help with leadership training, bench strength, whatever phrase you want to put to it, but it's certainly a need with businesses. So sometimes it's a confidence in their leadership or giving them some skills to step in the roles that we need to support what we're doing with marketing.
So skills, we talk a lot about the changing of business and
right.
How marketing has changed here. And some of us are established folks and struggle a little bit keeping up with some of the newer technologies and stuff. How do you go about making sure that you're on the edge of technology? What are you doing?
Yes. Okay. So technology is interesting, right? Just like marketing, that umbrella has grown what gets thrown under marketing. I've had businesses say, well, what's my ROI on my business card and pins? I'm like, probably depends on who you give them to. It's so funny because we could put so much under that flag, and technology has grown so much. We have automations, and we have online marketing, we still have traditional, we still have print, we have all of these things. And then, let's just throw AI into the mix. What does that look like? How do we utilize it effectively, appropriately? Do we, and in what circumstances? So it was really kind of interesting. And side note, this was just a little nugget of information given to me by Travis this morning. He goes, do you know what is going to cause our next energy crisis? I said, what? He goes, AI. Okay, well, you guys are all in the news. That was news to me this morning. I'm like, that makes sense, I guess. That's interesting. So when we say staying on the cutting edge, sometimes it's just giving us moments to not jump at everything, right? We don't have to do all things. We have to do a few things well. So I say that for my own advice in my business, for my clients. We saw this really come on the scene with all the explosion of social media platforms. Oh, I gotta be on TikTok, I've gotta be on Insta, I gotta be on X, well, it was Twitter or whatever, we gotta stay up with all those things. And I said, I don't think you need to be in all spaces. All of them don't make sense. And if you're in those spaces and don't do it effectively, it's not serving you well. So just probably more having the discernment as to what makes sense, what spaces to be in. I say like TikTok in particular, that is a hungry, hungry beast. Are you going to run your business, grow your business, or are you going to be a content generator? you know, so just being able to discern the need and where you need to be.
How's it looking in kind of traditional marketing media? Are there spaces that people maybe could take advantage of that are being ignored or any of that sort of thing? I wonder sometimes if people are focused so much on social media and online marketing that we're missing local business or local opportunity. Have you seen any of that?
Yeah, so I think strategy helps direct those decisions. Do we place traditional media? And when I say that, billboards, radio, TV, we don't do a ton of print unless it's very specific print. So yeah, finding those things out. But I had a client ask me the other day, well, what do you think about this? And I said, but your market's not there. Or you need to ask the questions. I do a lot of vetting. What's your distribution rate? What's your readership? How long do your advertisers stay with you? That tells me a lot, but sometimes my clients don't know to ask those questions. So we can vet out, because there's lots of places we can spend money, right? And then furthermore is, with the addition of technology, say you do traditional print, you're going to see that change a lot too. So whether you're on TV in particular, are you going to do that with streaming? Are you going to do that with just cable? Are you going to do that with broadcast? And how do we capture that to nurture them? So you're seeing a lot more use of QR codes just even in TV commercials and streaming commercials, those sorts of things. So we are trying to use traditional methods when we use those, and that makes sense, or we have the budget to do so, trying to bring them into our digital spaces. That's really important. And I see a lot of opportunities going missed doing that. And you're just going to get more face time or more bang for your marketing dollar when you can bridge those gaps. And I do that as well. It's looking for these opportunities.
So you walk with clients then through that strategy and help them with your expertise, understanding the media climate and what works and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
How many clients are you working with currently?
Yeah, that's always a loaded question, because sometimes my clients are seasonal. Sometimes I'm an on-call, right? And then we strive for recurring. So I would say 20 recurring, and depending on how big their marketing budget is, how many things we do for them. Yeah, so stay busy, stay busy.
Tell me, what are the options? So like I come to you and I say, all right, I have no clue. I'm not from Lincoln. I have a business. I want to get my name out there. So what are you going to ask me to know?
Yeah.
And to have with me so that I can provide you what you need to know.
One thing that I would say is don't shy away from the answers you don't have to these questions. That just allows someone like me to go, okay, we need to work in that space. So for example, I would ask you, what do you currently do for marketing? Tell me, educate me. If I were going to be a buyer, sell yourself to me. So then I can see what's your value statement. How can we modify that? How can we now take that message that you're doing one-to-one? How do we multiply that to make sense? I'll ask you now, in the last 2 years, I'll ask you, what technology support do you have? Do you have a CRM? Do you have automations? So I imagine many of you guys listening or here with me today, maybe are a solopreneur, or you have a really small team. Okay, well, how do we handle some of the things that don't require us to do everything manually? Like, I gotta remember to email Bob, I gotta remember to call Bob. Like, can we put some automations with that to make our lives easier? So I ask about your technology. I ask about what your goals and budget are. And a lot of times I'm like, I get people that go, I don't know. Okay, well, let's talk about that. What could you even handle if we brought in? So we just do a lot of exploratory questions, and it's not to put someone on the hot seat. It's just to discover where can we build that strategy.
Yeah, I love that, because I don't think people really know a lot of the time what kind of costs go into it, and time also. Are you saving people money or time a lot of the time with the solopreneur, especially in automated processes? We just finished our book, Automate Your Busy Work.
Oh, yes, yes.
In our book club, and we talked a lot about all the different processes. And Bill and I sat in our conference room and went through a process that he was automating for his business. It took an hour, and it looked like, like a perfect mind. He had taken over the whole whiteboard to get to this process, because it's so much time and so much. The author said you have to make time up front to save time.
Yes.
And that just, it felt like painful to me a little bit because
Yes.
I'm not an automator naturally.
Yes.
And so actually one of the first things you and I talked about was some of the social media programs and platforms that you use with your clients. Tell us how that has changed
Yes.
your clients' experience of marketing to have some of these platforms maybe available.
Yeah, so I have some clients, one in particular that's been with me since 2008. Once a year I get a page. This is what I did for you this year. He hates marketing that bad. It is really something. But as much as I love to get in there and do the brainstorming and stuff, that's not his thing. But I also take that as a win that he trusts me immensely, so that's pretty awesome. But I also like the sessions, like you say, we throw things up on a whiteboard and how do we have all the pieces that work. But you're right, it is a time investment in the beginning, and I'll tell people, I'm like, I need some hard work for 60, 90 days, depending on what we're building out, and then you're gonna love it. You know, it allows you to scale, right? Technology, simplicity, some of these things allow us to scale and achieve more with less. So putting that work in, and we see that with entrepreneurs. Sometimes we just don't give ourselves credit, like, you know, the shoe leather we put in, the doors that we knocked, I mean, that's the hard work that's gonna establish us to have easy work later. So one of the things that I've heard a lot is, I keep saying the technology, or we have this tech over here and we have this tech over here and we have this over here, and none of them communicate. And as business owners, I don't even care what size, you're like, I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do. That's not what I'm adept to do. That's not what I'm skilled to do right now. And looking for those solutions or those people with that expertise to bring in. I kind of want to at least tackle this too, is when I started my business, it was only me and tremendous amount of support from Travis. However, I built my team with 1099 partners, and that was interesting because they don't really rely on you as a paycheck. They're not a W-2 employee, right? So it's a different dynamic. You have to enlist and inspire and align their business with your business that your clients are now connected, right? So that's a very hard thing. And when do we most likely do that? When we're new. So that is a skill that is so hard, but we have to grow that quickly and bring our teams with outside resources. You said an outside partner. That happens a lot. And what I'm seeing now again is not because of length of business, but because of desire, is a lot of our teams are made up by outsourced people, either with different expertise or access. I used to have everything under one roof, meaning like even my production was under one roof. What I learned is when I looked at my business is that that particular department had really high highs and really low lows, and it was the most expensive department I had. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? I have an outside partner that we work well together. Like, what makes sense to outsource and create that synergy too? So building those systems. So having an outside marketing partner, from my perspective, is we get to navigate things for you and bring technology on. So I remember being a young entrepreneur, oh, I gotta pay for that. We think that we could just keep adding the hats to our heads and just a couple more hours, and you get to the point that just doesn't make sense. That be okay to pick good outside partners. It'll allow you to scale and grow. And you said save you time. Mistakes are expensive too, so paying for that expertise.
Right, good point.
Yeah.
We encourage here working in your strengths and then being able to utilize people that are also working in their strengths,
right,
doing something different that may support you. And I was going to come back around to this because I think you're a fabulous networker.
Oh,
so that's probably, I assume that's how you built your clients, and this is what we're talking about through collaborative work with other 1099 people. How important is in-person networking for you and your business? Yeah,
what's interesting to me about networking, I feel like being a resource of value to people always sets you up for referrals. I believe that to be true. I also believe that it allows me to give forward things that are useful, and they're like, well, if Shannon was really useful there, or I have a good connection with her and I can build trust with her, why wouldn't I want to work with her? It will align me for more opportunities. But also one of the things that I say is it allows me to think about what do I want. If you market yourself or network with intention, it's like, what value statement do I want to bring? How intentional do I want to be about my time in this space? So a lot of times we'll get in those routines. I was in a particular group for many, many years, and you start to get a little complacent. Hi, I'm Shannon Filing with Transformation Marketing. We do anything marketing, and if you need something, hit me up. Okay, well, that doesn't help many, right? It doesn't engage many or inspire many, and it honestly didn't generate much. So I had to reevaluate that and not get really lazy and go, okay, well, what can I say about like a case study that might cause interest, or how do I want to do my elevator pitch that is valuable or unique or different that makes people go, oh, I'm going to perk up to this opportunity, right? Like, how do I want to do that? So just being intentional about the time you spend in the space, because as you guys know, that is one of the most eluding assets that we have is our time. So it's like, if I'm going to show up there, how do I want to plan and prepare, and then again, engage after.
That's really good information. I think that's good advice, because I think we can just get in the, I just need to be there.
Yeah.
But you don't have a plan a lot of the time,
right,
for what you want from that time. And I think that is, if you just take a couple minutes and kind of, I'd like to meet 3 people, or I'd like to give my pitch to 3 people or something like that. Just have some kind of goals to go into a networking event. It also can give you something to do, right?
Yeah,
sometimes
it's a checkbox.
Just standing there eating cantaloupe cubes.
Well, or we think about, like, I showed up there, I checked all these boxes, right, and as a business owner, I'm busy. Yeah. I'm busy, but are we busy doing the right things? And one of the things that I will say about networking is, when I've had the most successful time in it, is if I prompt questions to people that they aren't normally like getting. So just go, hey, what's exciting you most in your business today? Oh gosh, now they had to think about it. They're gonna say, well, what about yours? All right, well, let me tell you. Set yourself up for those engagements that you're looking for. Yeah.
It's all about forethought. It feels like you're very intentional.
I try to be. Not always, but I do try to be.
Do you know your strengths, your Gallup strengths? I'd love to see it.
I would love to see it too. I should probably do that.
All right, well, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's right. We'll send it around an email.
Yeah, okay, so I will tell you guys that Shannon did have prepared a whole thing and a presentation, and she was going to tell us about some products that she's using and seeing success with her clients. So our tech is just being...
It was my login.
So I don't worry about it. But best stuff that you've seen, or what are you seeing that is really helping people out in the market today?
Yeah. I'm selfishly going to speak to you about my tool because I'm going to be intentional about this time. So if you are looking for whatever solution you choose, what I was hearing is, again, I kind of alluded to it, is I might have an email system over here, I might have a CRM system, or I have no CRM system, or I don't have a scheduling platform, so I wake up and go, oh, I got to post something to Facebook. And so we're always feeling behind. Well, that just adds to our anxiety in the day. We don't need that. Life will serve us up many opportunities for that anyway on its own. So I kept hearing all of this going, how can I really help with some of these automations? Because I'd go back and go, well, how's the lead follow-up going? I just got too busy. I paid marketing for those leads. Like, what are we doing? It's like rotting lettuce on the dog. Great. So I have launched SAM System, and I have some information should you want to check it out, but samsystem.io. And what that does is it's an all-in-one platform. You can choose to utilize whatever you want, but it is all in one. So you can deploy email marketing, you can schedule social media, you have a CRM, you can set up automations. This is the hard work going in, so it works easier later. But when I have a lead that comes in, however, social media or media that we paid for, is it gets in, and then guess what? It nurtures them. Because sometimes our buying isn't now. We got to kick some tires first. We're going to be in that consideration phase for a while. Well, I would love to physically hold your hand through that consideration phase, but there's only so many hours and so many me's to go around. So how can we have some of that, hey, guess what? I'm right here. And guess what? Here's a case study. And guess what? This person found success. You should too. Are you ready to move forward? And then they engage. So this platform does that. I think there's over 25 different essential features to it. So you can check that out and certainly hit me up with questions, or you want just a demo, you want to kick those tires, I'll allow you to do so.
Yeah, and anybody who will send out an email after this. So we're getting towards the end. This is such a great discussion, but we want to touch base a couple things that we always ask. Do you have a piece of advice that you were given that you feel is so important that you give it to others?
I don't know if I was given this. I would say it's insight that I found probably in moments of desperation is to give yourself some grace. You know, you are learning, you always should be learning. You guys have so many aspects, just being here today is learning, but allowing yourself the grace to do so. And I remember having a lot of anxiety going into one of my first sales meetings, and I was practicing with Travis and doing all these things, and then he's like, okay, we're done doing that. We watched Tommy Boy, which he thinks is the best sales movie ever, so we did that with a few laughs and such, but did that, and the meeting went fine, and he goes, what are you so worried about? And I'm like, what if they ask me this? What if they ask me this? He goes, you already are the expert in the room. They wouldn't have invited you in if you weren't. But I think we sometimes put on ourselves that we have to know all things. No, we have to bring what we do know to the table for the benefit of ourselves and others. So give yourself grace.
Nice. So what gets you motivated? What keeps you perked up on days when you just feel like I can't handle the grind?
I have purposely, because I've been in those moments, I would be lying to you to say, oh, my days are sunny and they're great. They're not. That's just not the way life is. I have very strategically aligned myself with some really good peer partners that I can reach out to. If you guys know Simon Sinek, he has put some things out there like, hey, do you have 8 minutes? That his code time for his good friends, like I'm in the soup, like I need a call. So whatever it is, but I do have some particular people that I have put in my world that help me perk up and gives me my little power talk, my pep talk, my you've got this because of this, this, and this, and they'll bring the things out that I know, but we discount in ourselves a little bit. So I do have a network of that, and I lean into that, especially when I really need it, because sometimes I can't pull it out of myself when you're really in the soup, we call it. But so having good people around you that says, no, tell me what you'd say. Gosh, Shannon, remember that time you did this? It was great. They're going to benefit from it, and it just allows you to fill your cup back up. So, yeah.
And I know we're both fans of Rock and Joe, but are there other Lincoln businesses that you frequent and that you want to make sure that everybody knows about?
Oh, gosh, goodness. Businesses. So I do like local business. That's I like to know the owners and I like to know their stories. So I guess I would say in doing so, think about that and think about those with where you spend time and where you spend money. So that said, I would say I'm a local business. You can always spend time with me. That's awesome. There's just what I would say. Lincoln has a plethora of great businesses, and they're growing all the time. We're seeing a lot of little small enterprise micro businesses popping up. Get to know them, spend some time there. That's so cool that we have such a vibrant business community. That gets me like super jazzed up, you can tell. And I do spend some time, obviously one of the engagements that we met was LIBA. And as this is time-stamped on the web, my husband has taken over LIBA and moving that into some different objectives with some different insights. And I think anytime you can go to those spaces and go, how can I plug in and meet other independent businesses, be it through Chamber or LIBA or networking, you'll find out where you need to spend your time. Yeah.
Well, we usually open up to questions, and we got hands coming up already. So if that's okay with you, we'll just open up.
Love it.
Questions.
I seen you're on the list. I was super excited that you're going to be here.
Thank you.
I've known Shannon for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, a while. Yeah.
And I've had the opportunity to meet Travis as well. He's an interesting.
I love that. But that's probably true.
He's smart. It's always a good conversation with him. So that's always good. You're talking about the the automation, the marketing, and that side of things, and shamelessly promoting your SAM.
Of course.
So let's go ahead and get that out of the way. I use a CRM system. I have a lot of automation set up as well.
Perfect.
But I'm finding that that's becoming very time consuming in itself as a as a solopreneur, as you say.
You're right.
And trying to actually onboard another agent at the same time. I guess when I look at the different systems, because you've got an Outlook calendar, your Apple calendar, your CRM, you got like 3 calendars within your CRM system, and you got your spouse's calendar.
Right.
Does your system help with that sort of thing, or do you have advice on people who are trying to juggle multiple and still have time to make money?
Yes. So I think I hear a couple questions in there. Actually, is my software on par with your software? Is your software easier? I will say that the fact that we tend to have different calendars, we have a home calendar because we have a home life, we have a business calendar, all of these things. The fact that your automations or my automations, they're going to account for all of that. So just getting them hooked in correctly is important. So they're one and the same in that way. You're going to have the work to hook them up and make them operate correctly. So kudos to you for spending your time in that manner. It'll help you out a lot. And you said I'm onboarding an agent. Now you kind of have to make some sales and some money along the way, for sure. So whatever operating system that you're using, it sounds like you're in it a ways. Look for outsourced partners to help you take the rest of the way. So even in my system, I have some outsourced partners that I'm like, here, learn my system, and then when I give you my automation mapping, make that happen, because I don't want to do it. I like strategizing, but look at what takes your time and what isn't in your skill set, or honestly, making you money, outsource that. Find someone to do it. We live right now in a time that's super awesome, be it Fiverr or Upwork, that you can find talent in that way for those incidentals. You don't have to take on ongoing payroll to do so. You could also hire a VA. And so utilizing those to help you with that would be great.
Julie, go ahead.
Real quick, in all the businesses that you've designed, developed, and implemented throughout the years, whether it's yours or someone else's, what are the stages that you've identified from startup to completion?
Stages of?
In my mind, I'm thinking like research and development, but you said something I've never heard before, the consideration phase.
Yeah.
Nurturing.
Yes.
I was wondering what that looks like.
Okay, I'm trying to think, so the consideration phase, if you look up like the sales funnel, that's where that phrase comes through, right? You have this consideration phase, and it goes down until they plunk and spend some money. So you can look up that online, that phases. What I'd like to say as far as phases go in business, this kind of really comes back to your sales and service offering. Like, what are the phases? You can see that now when you have that mapped out, the experience that you want them to have, or what does it take to nurture them into a sale? What's my process? Do I call, send them a contract? Do I do an onboarding? I don't know what your service or business does, but you'll see that if you can map out that logically, you can put it in a pipeline. You'll see it as a pipeline, an opportunity staging, or automations. So do the work in mapping that out. You might not have that right now, and you can assign a fancy word to it of, oh, we have bespoke, right? It's all customized every time. I can tell you right now, I am trying to move out of that world, because it is certainly something with every time you're trying to build a customized deal. It makes sense in a certain realm, but not for your scales. Like, try and align something very simple that can turn money and projects easy, and then leave your bespoke or your customization to your big clients. So that's what I would say. And I want to also parallel this to the levels of learning. If you haven't ever seen that also is online, where you have your, I wish I had it up here, like I'm going to have the phrases wrong, but incompetent, ignorant, like you don't know what you don't know, right? And you go through these stages where now I know what I don't know. That's a scary place to be, so don't be there very long. And then you learn the skills, or you move into a section where it's like, oh, I've got this. It's like riding a bike, like I can get on and I can do this. And then you can just do it with your eyes closed, right? So you move up the scale of something that you've learned, a service that you deliver, or a skill within yourself, or your business. Complexity looks less complex once you get all these things ironed out. But guess what? Then what happens is you start all over, because you either bring in a new service, or the marketplace changes, or you have a new competitor that makes you think of your business different, or let's say COVID hits, or whatever help. So that's why I say give yourself grace, because you're going to have stages, but guess what? You're going to start all over in some ways. So it's always a perpetual cycle. So once you learn that I'm in it, now you know what you're dealing with. You're like, that's why I'm having these emotions or these hiccups, is I'm starting something new. Okay, I get where I'm at. And then you can logically move yourself through that. Yeah.
Ben?
So I remember you talked about how you are in conjunction with a couple different types of businesses. You know, your customers are in the same area. You guys do your own niche thing, though, still. How do you work with people who are difficult to work with? Or how do you work with people who are could be like fair weather people? Like, oh, it's good when it's good, but when it's bad, I'm really not going to prioritize you in my business. Like, do you have like tactics, strategies? Do you ditch them? Like, look for new people? Like, what do you prefer?
Yeah. Sometimes it depends, quite honestly, where I'm at in my business. So I remember early on, you learn the hardest lessons because you'll take anything, right? You need some money, and honestly, so you'll take, everyone's like, you need some money, but in that you learn too. So you're paying to play, if you will, right? You're going to take on those challenges. You're going to learn through them. You're going to take a little money. It's not going to be very profitable, I will tell you that, because it'll take more time. But you learn through that so you can make better decisions later. What I will say is, when I learned that I could scale to a point that I could fire difficult clients or unprofitable clients, or at least feel confident to go, yeah, we're not doing that, or hold them more accountable, I was operating less out of a need or a fear and more in a business mindset. But when we have to get to that point that we feel stable enough or secure enough or refined enough to do so. And a lot of times it's not even necessarily firing a client, it's just putting boundaries in, just digging the ditches to go, hey, you know, I hear where you want to go, but I'm not going to go everywhere with you. You're going to come with me because you hired my expertise. So sometimes that's a confidence level in ourselves. Sometimes that is just getting our refined service, that this is how we come into the fold when you work with Shannon, or, you know, those sorts of things.
Well,
But
how also do you, like, what if there's situations where you can't just X them out too? Like, you know, there's people that I work with, and there's people that I know that are essential
Okay.
for my business.
Yeah.
And so not even just my business, but how I market and network and just better myself truly, because I think everyone comes with their blessings and other things. And so some people that I cannot get rid of, or say, even I do put up boundaries, but they cross them still then, and I can't just quite keep them out because they're immature, you know, all the different circumstances. Right?
yeah, it sounds like you're dealing with a thing over there, which I can see. So I would say that not knowing the specifics, which I don't need to know the specifics, is at some point it's not going to be an I can't. And how you materialize the metrics in which you work with them is going, I have clients that sometimes are like, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I'm like, I am not your keeper. However, you did hire my expertise, and I can tell you that I don't think that's going to be a win for you. Now, I can lay out the reasons why that's not going to be, the way that doesn't make sense to our strategy or your budget or your desired outcome. But should you choose to do this, I will try hard to hobble that pig to the finish line for you, but it's just not going to be as easy as this other solution. And so it allows that communication to be, I brought my expertise, which you asked me for, but there's going to be some ownership for this decision or this behavior or this activity on their end. So trying to just frame that out, not knowing the specifics, maybe that's helpful to you?
Multiple specifics, true.
Okay, good.
Multiple, yeah, so it's just something I'm frequenting, which is kind of unfortunate. also being an up-and-coming entrepreneur, I don't have a lot of options and a lot of position to be able to say, hey, this can't work because you are not pulling your weight, and I need something better because I don't have the relationship, I don't have the, it's not that I can't stand for myself, because I do, but even building relationships is keeping me from.
Sometimes, like, I'll lean into that is I can't, like, if I'm getting frustrated that things aren't moving forward, it's like, Shannon, you can't want this for two people. Like, there has to be two participants moving forward, be it a client or a vendor relationship or a employee. Like, I can't want this for the both of us. So that, and when I'm feeling stuck and frustrated, sometimes I find that that's what's happening, is I'm wanting this for both of us, and it's like then I'm just dragging someone along, and that's not going to work. I have found that to be. And then I also found that when I'm most successful, and so I backslide into bad habits, but when I'm most successful is when I map out expectations early. And that could be, how do we work well together? This is what I expect from you. This is when I learn that it doesn't work. And I lay that out there at the very beginning when I hire someone, or when I'm going to partner with someone, or I'm going to onboard a new client, is this is what you can expect from me, but this is what I need from you. Like, you have this date, but if I don't get it till the day before because you aren't giving me approvals or content or whatever, that's going to affect the date. And a lot of times, if I don't lay that out, it seems very easy to understand. But if we don't lay it out, then we've never had the discussion. So finding out what my pain points were and trying addressing them early allows me to avoid them more often. Not always, but more often.
Well, this has been such a great discussion. I think we're wrapping up here. We're just almost at 11. So if you got one more, Jeff?
Just to confirm,
Yeah.
so once you identify everything, you're full service, you will do like ads or whatever else? Or
Yep.
you stop at identifying?
I will do, we are a full service marketing agency. So yeah, we will do that. Now I have some clients that they're like, I'm right here. So we'll do SEO, or we'll just do content, or we'll just do paid ads. And as they grow, then they bring more services on. What's kind of nice about that is I allow for that flexibility, but then you don't have to move and reestablish a partnership you can grow within our agency. So
Concierge.
yeah, that's right.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Stay for coffee.
Awesome.